Hi everybody, Stacey here. How are you doing today? I'm glad you're here. I am gonna do another another bloom pour on this canvas here, which is smaller than the last one I did, but bigger than the ones I usually do, if that makes any sense. I usually do those little square ones about that big. They're bigger than tiles, but you know they're about like that. And then I decided I wanted to see how big I could get them, and so I'm working on that. And I did an 11 by 14 last time. Some of y'all have seen that, and it turned out really good. So eventually, I'm going to try, the next size up. I can't remember what it is, but I had this one here that I need to redo because it got paint on it. So I'm going to do it next, just to get it done. And this is my same pouring medium, the Craft Neat Bright Tone Varnish is what I'm using as my varnish. I'm using Glidden Premium Semi-Gloss Base 3 and Base 1 for the paint, the pillow paint, and the colors. Base 3 is for the colors, and Base 1 is the pillow, I believe. And I've added a little bit of GAC 800 to the pillow, just about that much to that, because I don't want any crazing, and it will stop it. And I haven't had any since I've been, well, I started using adding the GAC 800 at the same time I changed my paints. In the beginning, I was using Walmart Color Smart brand paint, and that was the wrong thing to do. It did not work for me at all. It caused big holes. It caused a lot of crazing. Anyway, so I switched to this is Phthalo Blue, my Master's Touch. When I switched to the Glidden, I also started adding the GAC at the same time. So, like I've said before, I suspect the Glidden would not craze on its own. But I'm adding the GAC just to be sure, because I hate crazing, and I just want to be sure that I don't have any issues anymore, because I had some issues in the beginning with it, and it was not fun. So, that's what I'm doing. This is orange, obviously. Master's Touch. I like their orange better than Liquitex because it's a little bit darker. Let's see. Then I have, this is Master's Touch Violet right here. It's almost like dioxazine purple. I think maybe the dioxazine is just a little bit darker, maybe. Maybe so. And then this is, I'm in here, Liquitex turquoise, which I just love. I think turquoise is beautiful. Yes, I'll be out in a minute. Okay, this is some Liquitex lime green. I love it too. I love so many colors. It's hard to choose, you know. It makes it really hard to choose. That's probably good. Because you can get too many, you can. And this cell activator is the original cell activator, I guess. It is 1 part titanium white by Amsterdam. And it is also 3 parts Floetrol. The reason this whole thing works, I finally heard this explained, and it didn't make sense to me until I heard it, but the reason this bloom recipe works is because in the pillow paint and in what you mix your colors with, there's no Floetrol. And we all know that cells are created by Floetrol and heat from the torch and silicone. So if you have any of that in your pouring medium that you mix your colors with, and then you don't have any Floetrol in the pillow, the only place the Floetrol comes in is in the cell activator, and that's why the cell activator works to create cells. But I also add a little silicone to my colors because I figured, why not? It works in our regular pours for that. Why not try it with this? And I think it helps. I certainly don't think it hurts. I certainly have seen no negative effects, so I want to keep doing it. Just because nobody else is doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. I don't know of anybody else that's doing that, and I don't know anybody else that's still torching. But I do, because look at all those air bubbles. I don't know if you can see that, but they're everywhere, and they're tiny. And if you were going to try to pick all those out, you'd be here all damn day, and I don't want to do that. Other than that, you couldn't get them all even if you tried, because some of them you can't even hardly see, and they're going to pop later. So, anyway, let me blow this, and then we'll talk. I have trouble with the blowing. I used to be a smoker. It's tough for me. Okay, I still smoke one every now and then. I gotta get me a step stool. Alright, that's pretty good. That's the best I can do. That's the only thing about doing these on a bigger canvas. That's the challenge of it. It's really hard to get in a position where you can blow them effectively the way you do the other ones. It's hard to manipulate them. But it can be done. And like I said, I torch. I don't do it too much. I don't get real close to it. And I'm going to wait on that paint to flow back in because I can see that it's still moving. I don't see very well, and a lot of times I can't tell when it's still moving just by looking, but I know that I need to give it longer than I want to. For a long time, as soon as I blew it, I started tilting, and that will make the center part not want to move. And this part will push in around it, and people said, oh, that's okay, you know, let it do that, it'll fold back out. Bullshit, it doesn't. At least it didn't for me. So I give this a little more time in this step because I think it needs it. Especially if with my bad eyes I can still see a dip there. I can still see paint trying to migrate. That one's really pretty, I think. I hope y'all can see well enough. I've been trying to fix my camera angle and my tripod to where you get the most optimum view. But the tripod is new, and I'm having issues now because this pouring bucket I built yesterday, and it's taller around the edges, and I can't really reach over it as good as I'd like to, and I'm not sure how it looks, you know, through all the tilting and moving and stuff. I know it gets out of frame sometimes. I'm not sure how to fix it, but I had to build me a bucket. I had to have a new bucket because couldn't find a plastic one. And I won't go into my rant again because I have ranted. I looked and looked and looked, and I bought like 3 or 4 of them and never could get one that worked. And so I finally just said, screw it, I'm just going to Lowe's and I'm going to build my own. And I did, and it was really easy. It took me about 15 minutes, and it cost me all of $7. I mean, the old saying is really true. When you want something done right, sometimes you just got to break down and do it yourself. I really like how this one's looking. I like those colors. That's pretty. Alright, now to this side. This tilting, you have to learn to feel the weight of the paint, to know where the weight, the preponderance of the weight of the paint is. And that way you don't end up pouring it, you know, haphazardly off the edges, you know, losing all your paint and everything. You need to learn just by practice how, you know, how to tell where it is and to manipulate it. I personally don't believe there's any set way to do it. You know, you got to go to this corner, that corner, you know, the next corner. You know, just, you have to figure out a way that works for you. Just like everything else. Trial and error, experimentation. To me, that's the name of the game. And the main thing with these, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the key to these things, the most important thing, no matter what recipe you use, no matter what varnish you use, no matter any of that, is the consistency. If your paint is not the same consistency all the way around, it won't work. If your colors start to move faster than the pillow, or the pillow moves faster than the colors, or the center part doesn't move, you might as well just stop it and start over again, because there's something wrong with the mix and it won't work until it's right. At least that's been my experience. And just let me repeat one more time. I've said this a million times, but everything I say on here is just my opinion. You know, I'm not like the authority. I didn't invent these things, and I just fool around with the recipe, twerk it a little bit, change it a little bit, tweak it here and there. I like to put my own spin on things, and I can tell you what I've tried and what happened and what I do now, what works for me now, what has not worked for me in the past, yada yada. I don't pretend to, you know, have all the answers or anything, but this is just, everything is always just from my perspective. I mean, whose else can I give you? I mean, it's mine because I'm the one talking, and I can't speak for anybody else. But I just wanted to reiterate that. It's kind of a disclosure I like to make, you know, that I don't consider any of mine like tutorials or anything like that, because I'm not saying, you know, do this, don't do that. I'm just saying, this is what I did, this is what I didn't do. And hopefully it helps. I think that's maybe one of the prettiest ones I've ever done. And it's got some pretty little cells over here. And that's the Floetrol doing that, because even with the Craftnique, I didn't see a lot of cells. What I have seen that's different about the Craftnique as opposed to using polyacrylic or Dosanas is the lacing is more intricate and there's more of it. The colors pop more. They retain their vibrancy and their separation. In other words, see right up here, the border between the purple and the turquoise is real sharp. The colors, they don't muddy at all. I mean, not at all. And sometimes, you know, I mean, especially when you're using several different colors, that muddying can happen with the best of paints if you use too many colors. So, you know, I have not had an issue with that, with this recipe, with using the Craftnique now. I have had that issue somewhat using polyacrylic in the past. Let's torch this again, because I torched twice. Now the torching, you know, like I said, I have seen no real effects of it, but there's air bubbles in there right now I'm looking at. And if you don't get rid of them, they will pop eventually. Only, you know, they're going to pop when your thing is drying, and you're going to have little spots. So I'd prefer to get them out now. I think that's just gorgeous, y'all. The more I do this recipe, the more I work with it, the more I practice and experiment, the more I like it. I didn't really like doing them at first, but I'm starting to enjoy them even more. Okay, let me let y'all come down so you can see it close. I have to get, I do the sides and the backs of these afterwards. I paint them over, so I'm not gonna worry too much about that. It's just funny, you know, we see a corner there or a side there and we freak out. Oh my God, I gotta get that. Oh, I gotta get that. I forget that with these, I resin them, and when I do that, I end up needing to sand the sides to get rid of those sharp edges. So I sand the sides, and then I paint over them with white paint, so they're not all nice and neat, and there's no paint spilled all over the backs and all that. Because if we weren't in a state of pandemic crisis, I'd be selling them at my farmer's market on Saturdays. since we are, I won't be. That's just really pretty, y'all. Alright, let's have a look up close, see what you think. Is my phone doing that blurry thing? It's doing that blurry thing. Alright, that's better. I don't know why it does that. It gets set on this other setting over here, and it becomes fuzzy. What is it doing? Okay, I don't know what it's doing. The color looked funny for a minute. Oh, that's beautiful. I don't know, those little spots, I'm not sure if they're cells or if they're from the torch. They don't bother me, but they might be from torching. And if those are just cells right there. But these little spots over in here, those little bitty tiny spots, those may be from torching, but it's air bubbles that are popping is what causes that. And I don't know, I'd rather, see there, that's him. I'd rather them pop right now where the paint might kind of congeal together a little bit and cover them. They're not like anything really bad or obvious or anything. They don't bother me. But I think that might be something that goes along with torching. It could be. I don't know for sure. In any case, like I said, they're pretty insignificant to me. That's a beautiful piece. I don't really mind them. So, and I don't want those air bubbles to pop later on. At least right now, the paint is still fluid and moving to some extent. Not a whole lot anymore, but it's still fluid. And it, you know, if there's any big openings, you know, they might just ooze in and fill in together. If they pop when it's drier like that, you got no chance of that happening. They're just going to be big gaping holes. So, I don't know. The jury's out on the torching. I'm going to keep doing it because even if those are a product of torching, they don't bother me. But I'm just letting you know that that's a possibility. Could be. I don't know. I just want you to be informed. Make an informed decision, you know. All right, guys. Thanks for being with me today. I so appreciate it. I'm so happy when y'all are here. And I'm so happy that I'm here and able to do this again. Those 3 weeks that I was gone were so miserable, you will never know. So, anyway, I appreciate you being here. Everybody stay safe, and God bless you.